guys. Are you having a good day? Yeah. Getting to see some of your faves, see some of the cool stuff at the vendors, all that stuff. Right on. Right now, I am very privileged to have with us two people that made the Scream franchise, amongst others, stand out for the horror industry. Scream, I can tell you guys, man, was definitely one of those era films, franchises, when the slasher genre had been dormant for a little while, and here comes Ghostface. And through the franchise, you know, Scream 2 taking place at the college, Ghostface, some of the most, craziest stalking chases. So fortunate to have the stuntman who was behind the mask with us today for Scream 2. And then, I don't know about you, but Sydney's nightmare sequence in Scream 3 scared the shit out of me. And that, of course, would not have happened without our wonderful guest. So please welcome to the panel room Miss Lynn McRee and Alan Robinson. How are you?
Oh, my hands are warm. I'm doing great.
How you doing?
Hey, good, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to do the conversation with us, man.
Okay, we got 5 minutes. Okay, I'll get a little more.
Yeah, I was talking to these guys before you walked in about how the whole Scream franchise kind of arose when the slasher, icon genre was kind of dormant. Like Freddy, Michael, Jason hadn't been around for a while, and then then Ghostface comes out, with Scream 1, kind of takes us all the way back to those films, the same feeling of the final girl battling this masked figure. And then it became this whole franchise that, is about to put out the 7th one. You guys both come on board. Lynn, we see your picture in the first one in the family portraits, and then you referenced, through the second one all the way leading up to that iconic, in my opinion, nightmare sequence. And, Alan, you come on board for number 2, and you're doing the stunt work behind the mask.
But also I was in one.
Were you? Okay, so you were doing stunt work in the first one,
Yeah,
too.
a little known trivia.
Okay.
I was Stu Matthew Lillard's stunt double in Scream 1, if you didn't know that. And you're going, really? What was that? Well, if you remember Scream 1, the very ending scene after they were stabbing each other in the kitchen, Matthew tackles Sydney in the hallway, and then they tackle her over a sofa, and then I get the TV crashed over my head, and I get electrocuted.
Oh, wow. So you're in one of the most iconic kills in the whole movie.
And is that a kill?
That,
Because
dun.
I am the Stu stunt double. Is Stu alive or dead? Who thinks he's alive?
The majority.
interesting.
Now that's been an ongoing
Debate.
debate,
Yeah.
alive or dead. Here's what I can tell you, if you don't mind, if you got a second. The director, Wes Craven. Can I remove that from that?
Yeah, just
Come on, strong.
Oh gosh, now I'm mobile. Watch out. No. So the director Wes Craven says, you're gonna do this chase here, and then the TV is gonna get crashed over your head, and you get electrocuted. Okay, that's the directions I got from the director. When you're electrocuted, does it always end in death?
not necessarily.
Right? So he could have easily said, okay, the TV's crashed over your head, it's going to kill you. Or, I'm just telling you what the director told me. So, I did what I perceived as electrocution and jerked, and then, jerked around, and then I went limp. But that doesn't definitively say I died. So I'm just saying, I don't know, and I'm serious, I don't know whether he's alive or dead, but I can just tell you what the director told me, but I guess we'll find out more in February next year.
What happens in February of next year, Alan?
Well, Scream 7 comes out, and then Matthew Lillard, it's no secret that he's in the movie, so, I mean, is he a ghost? Is he a flashback? I don't know, but it's kind of exciting to check it out.
For sure.
Movie pitch, February 27th, Scream 7 is released somewhere in the United States. We don't know where, but please plan on going to your nearest theater and supporting Scream 7. Yes!
Yes.
Wow, nice.
You guys, when you're entering this franchise, I ask this question, on the podcast and here on stage a lot, but entering any franchise, everybody says, they never expect it to be like this huge thing. Horror is even more of a gamble, even if it is a wide release movie. Independent horror in itself, everyone talks about the expectation that it's this and then we're done. We're never going to make this again. And if it evolves into something, it becomes, something awesome. Terrifier for the latest example, really. When you guys entered Scream, how was it like for you to be doing stunts and, you're doubling Matthews and then that evolves into getting to do the stunts with the Ghostface costume? Or for you being, Sid's mom, because she is this, even though you don't really see the relationship with you and her in the movies, it's already there and it's this huge reference point. So I'm curious, how it was for you to enter Wes's vision.
You first.
Ladies first. Ladies always first.
You have a bigger ego. You go first.
No, this room's not big enough. What?
Oh, I told the truth.
Oh, no, it had nothing with egos, but I am curious to know about your story with that. But I just know for me, it's just a job. You don't quite, you get a call to work on a film and, okay, you're doubling an actor in this movie and great. I'm a stunt guy. I want to work. Okay, what do I got to do? Oh, get a TV crash over your head. Okay, just another day at the office, right? But it was soon apparent when I was working on Scream 1 that the director is Wes Craven. And Wes Craven, if you know his history with his movies, I mean, that's what he does. And it was, I knew it was going to be something special, but I had no idea it was going to be what it was. And it was really surreal the first time I met him because when I first met him, I had this picture of what a successful horror film director would be like. In my head, it was this larger than life, kind of gruff, hey, we're going to make things bloody and we're going to kill people. I mean, I don't know why I had that in my head. But further from the truth, because Wes Craven was so cool. He was so gentle, quiet. He was smart. He was polite. And he, it was just the opposite of this person I projected. In fact, I met him, but I hadn't shaken his hand yet until after I had the TV crashed over my head. And then he got up in the director's chair and came over to shake my hand. My hands are bloody at the time because they bloodied me up as Stu. And my hand's all bloody, and he stuck his hand out. And for that fraction of a second, I'm like, I can't shake the director's hand. My hand's got all this fake sticky blood on it. And I kind of paused for a second, then I realized, wait a minute, this is Wes Craven. And he's the horror king. And so, I shook his hand, but I paused for a minute because I'm like, just out of respect for the director, I didn't want to get just sticky blood on it. But I'll never forget that moment. That was special. But when you're making it, you don't know it's going to be big. But by the time we got this Scream 2, Scream 1 had already was out at the theater, and it was doing really good in the box office. And I was just happy to get the call because I got initially called to be Mickey's stunt double. That's Timothy Oliphant. And then they said, well, yeah, also you're gonna play Ghostface for some scenes. But little did I know it was going to be most of the scenes in the movie. And so I was really lucky because I got the iconic opening scene as Ghostface, which is iconic in any of the Scream films, the opening kills. You just think about Drew Barrymore. It's like it was such a surprise. You know, it's like, what? You killed this cute little innocent girl in the first 5 minutes? That's not the way movies are.
Yeah.
That's what set apart Scream from the beginning. It's like it just changed things. But it was an honor to play Ghostface and then run around and just to finish up on Mickey. So at the very ending scene in the theater, the big theater scene where Mickey, I got get in a fight with Sydney and I scratch her face with a necklace and stuff, and then he gets shot and he dies, or he goes down, and then there's dialogue and some other stuff, and then Mickey comes back up, "Rah!" And then the two girls shoot him, and he goes flying back upside down into the rocks, and that's me. So that's a little behind the scenes there.
And he lived to talk about it.
Thank you.
Personally, I can't imagine the life of a stunt person. Oh my goodness, danger every day. TV's crashed over your head. People you think are dead, but they come and, they come back to life right in front of you. So you just keep being a stunt person. I'm going to keep being a film actor. It sounds like a good balance, right? So to answer your question, I knew that something was up because when I was first cast for Scream, obviously just a photograph. Has anybody here not seen Scream, at least the first three? Has anybody not seen? Don't be embarrassed. Raise your hand. Anybody not seen the first three Screams?
There'll be a test
We
later.
love you. Thank you for being Scream fans, because because of people like you, I have a job, Alan has a job off the set. We get to do these conventions, and this is one of my greatest thrills because you folks come to the table. I'm not going to cry right now. I am not. And I feel so loved and seen and heard and appreciated. Keep loving horror. Even though Wes Craven is now in a different place as of 10 years ago, the movies live on. The movies live on. I mean, they're all iconic because of Wes Craven. By the way, he was a former humanitarian. He was a former, take three. He was a former humanities professor, and he had the personality of a kitten, an empath, someone being in service. We all loved, respected, and cherished him, me included. God, what a beautiful man. Have any of you ever been to a panel that I've been on before? Show of hands, anybody? Oh, good, because this is my favorite story from Scream 3. So I'm on the set, and it was about midnight. It had been a long day. I was in makeup for 2.5 hours. We stopped, and I just wanted to sit down. I'm tired. I'm a human. So there was a chair, so I plopped down. Little did I know the chair had the name on the back, Wes Craven, director. Wes walks up towards me. He sees that I'm in his chair, says nothing, doesn't even give me a dirty look, sits down in the chair next to me. Okay. And he was Wes was always, this is how I describe it. He was calm, cool, and collected, never got his feathers ruffled on the outside. And he seemed a little disgruntled, and I said, Wes, what's going on? He goes, oh, it's a Miramax kind of a day. Do you remember what happened with Miramax and the two people involved? And if you don't, that's okay. I understood what he was saying. I said, psst, Wes, what's the secret to calm because of that personality that I described? And he stood up, and he started walking away. I went, oh my goodness, what? This is not the Wes that we all knew. And he turned over his right shoulder after he took 3 feet of steps and said, perspective. Think about that. If you forget anything that I've said during this panel or the whole weekend, please remember that. It's about perspective. So at the time I went, that's kind of weird. Fast forward, I'm older, wiser, and more experienced. I went, oh my God, I just got it. I just got it. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. Think about that. And we project out. So perspective. Wes Craven said the secret to calm is perspective. And he's like was spot on. So every time I see somebody disgruntled, upset, I went, wow. And they're going, rah, 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 and they're pointing a finger at me. Really? No. We see the world as we are. So, yeah, that was my wisdom from Mr. Craven. I love him. I will always remember what he did for me in my career in Scream 3, because he had a vision. The production company was called Three Bagger Production. That was before Scream, the original, came out. So I always knew that there were going to be 3. Little did I know that I was going to come back to life in Nev Campbell's dream sequence. And all those photographs, a little insider's tip, those photographs you see of me looking much younger and much thinner, those are the original modeling photographs when I was with the Wilhelmina Agency in New York City. I was 19 years old and 99 pounds. And when production knew that I had the original photographs, they got very excited. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Long-winded, I know.
I think it's cool, Scream 3, knowing that I always wanted to go to film school and learn that it takes place in a studio, a film studio, and the movie sets within the movie and all of that is really cool. And seeing, like you're saying, the whole story about how Maureen went to LA and she had this double life that Sid's dad didn't even know about was like this extra wrinkle in. And I think what makes your nightmare sequence so scary is that Sid had been haunted by you for years after you were murdered, and she was carrying the baggage of her mom being killed. But then in 2, she's like finding out this information in regards to Cotton that they kind of tease in the first one, and then she really starts to uncover all that. And so now she's kind of haunted by you. And then by the time 3 rolls around, she's definitely haunted by you, because now here's this other wrinkle, like, what was she doing? Why did she go out there? And then the nightmare sequence rolls around. And, like, I interviewed a director at one point, and he said, like, the scariest thing that I'll ever put on the screen is something that I don't put on the screen, because the viewer's own mind is conjuring this fear. And the way that Wes shot you, it allowed for that to happen before you were in full view. As you're walking up the pathway, like, that shot is creepy with your dress flowing and everything. By the time the jump scare happens with you, coming up above her in the window, I hated that sequence when I first watched it. I was like, this is creepy, and I'm in high school. So what was that whole filming process like for you?
First of all, did you hate the scene or did it creep you out?
Well, love-hate, I guess, is the best way. You scared the hell out of me. I watch it now with love because, honestly, like I said, being a film nerd, Scream 3, I think it's an underappreciated installment of that franchise. I remember the fandom not necessarily thinking that the story was the strongest for whatever reason. I thought it was awesome. And I thought that if that was the last one they were going to make, the way that they ended it was a pretty damn perfect ending. Say what you will about them coming back, down the road with 4, 5, 6, and now 7. But you're seeing, the love-hate. I love to be scared. So I love it because it scared me. First viewing, younger, you creeped me out. So when I say I hated it with the affection of a horror fan.
I mean, after all, she was a slut in real life, so, and I'll take full responsibility for that. So, how many of you in the audience have said to me or even thought the same thing? That one scene when you came up to the window and just scared the poop out of me. Like, I've heard that from almost everybody that's ever come to the table. And, I think back on that because, I'm in the costume looking back, and you're out there looking in. And yeah, that was pretty creepy. That was the scene that took 2.5 hours in makeup because of the nails and the dirt and painting the veins on the chest, etc. Wes was a genius. Besides being a phenomenal, incredible, iconic human being, he was a genius. He was a creative genius. We had so much fun behind the scenes and off the set. And some of the scenes were filmed on location. I remember we went to Topanga Canyon, that late night scene when I sat in his chair because I was tired. And he never penalized me. He never said anything negative about me sitting in his chair because he had huge humility. And that's one of the things that, yeah, I and the whole staff and team loved about him. So, okay, I'm getting emotional. So, questions? More questions? Maybe?
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions for Lynn and Alan? Go ahead.
Yes. When you shot that scene in Scream 3, was Nev Campbell there?
Off and on. She had an engagement with some other production she was creating at the time, as did Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox was working on Friends, so we were sharing the same driver. And yeah, she would come in and I would go out and vice versa. So yes, Nev was there. She was working on another production, so we didn't cross paths very much. But boy, when we did, there were so many emotional scenes for her. I mean, she had to come up and, be terribly frightened and maybe cry. And then she'd go back outside, smoke a cigarette, try to get her emotions back in check. Mm-hmm. And then, she'd reshooting. So her emotions were, that Scream 3 required a lot of emotional depth and stamina from Nev, and yes, she was there. Yeah, and I think you had a question.
Yeah, I was curious. When did you learn you sat in Wes Craven's chair?
I love your question. I heard you loud and clear. I think after he left, I said, "What's the secret to calm?" And he walked away and said, "Perspective," and then left. One of the co-producers came up to me and said, "Excuse me. Are you aware that you're in the director's chair?" No, I wasn't, and he never said anything to me. So again, humility. Yeah. So it was under those conditions, and I went, yeah, and then, okay, time to shoot. Thank goodness, save me, save me, save me. Okay. Yes. Yes.
I know you mentioned that the scene, the moment when you were in his chair was a great memory for you. Do you have any other memories that are in the top for you of filming that movie?
Oh my God. Yeah, so many. You've made it as a film actor when the driver picks you up from your hotel suite and drives you to the set and people start parting ways so the driver can get through to your trailer, and then you're escorted into your trailer and everything is done for you. People put on your shoes and take off your shoes, and they put on your robe and take off your robe, and they put on your makeup. At the end of the day, they take off your makeup and then steam your face. I understand after Scream 3 why some A-list actors and B-list actors have huge overinflated egos. And here's what I learned. Fame and money does not breed arrogance. People breed arrogance. You choose to be egotistical. You choose to be holier than thou. I will never make that choice. We're all, from my perspective, we're all spiritual beings living inside of a human body with limited life expectancy on this thing called planet Earth, held down by gravity. We're on the inside, we're all exactly the same. So, and I've worked with some of those A-list actors, and a name is coming to mind. I promise I'm going to stuff it. I'm not going to mention it. And wow, I mean, God, the arrogance, the egotism, the holier-than-thou attitude, it's a personal choice. It doesn't have to be that way. I hope, and if you ever see me acting like that, you call my shit to the carpet, please, okay? Because, yeah, that is definitely not okay. Did I answer your question? Okay. Any more questions for me before I hand the microphone over? There's somebody in the back. Yes, please.
Get to like hang out with Wes Craven offset judges like have like Django come in, brought out Freddy Krueger and Ghostface.
Yes, but it wasn't one-on-one. It was in, a small group of other actors and co-producers, et cetera. Yeah, Wes was, needless to say, boy, this is a gross understatement. He was super popular. And so I never had a one-on-one audience with him. I'm a professional interviewer, so I would have asked him more questions than he would have asked me, and he probably would have, yeah. So, yeah. Any other questions before I reluctantly hand the microphone over to Alan? Okay, Alan, you're up.
Anybody have any questions for Alan?
So when I was 12 years old,
Now's a good time to take a nap.
I haven't thought of this story in a long time. But just a quick funny thing is, one of my first bigger films, which ended up not being that bigger film, but it was 1990. I was in Psycho 4. Now, it wasn't a big theatrical release. It was made for Showtime. But I was working with the real Norman Bates, Anthony Perkins, who did the original Psycho. I mean, it's classic. Mm-hmm. I'm fairly new, younger stunt guy on the film. And I'll never forget looking at these director's chairs, not really understanding that there's names on the back of them. And there's an empty one, so I sit in it. And I was quickly reminded, goes, excuse me, that's Anthony Perkins, Norman Bates' chair. Please get out of it. and I got out, and I was embarrassed by it, but I learned from that first film, not every chair you can sit in. Even if nobody's sitting in there, it's a set protocol. You don't sit in somebody's chair that has their name on the back, especially the star.
What a contrast from you getting kicked out of Perkins' chair to her not getting kicked out of Craven's.
Yeah. Well, some of us, not so smart, Yeah. It's a contrast. It's a contrast.
I wanted to ask you, Alan, you doing stunt doubling for some of like the most iconic roles, Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks's double. I'm a huge Batman fan, so you doing Riddler, Jim Carrey's work, among just a ton of others. The element of stunt acting is, I can't imagine the test because you're acting too, as well as doing this stunt work. Do you have a particular shoot outside of Scream that you would like say this one like meant the most or was a favorite that you got to do?
That's a good question. Because I do love doing studying people's character. Because if I get a job to be a particular actor's stunt double, I want to be the best possible. I want the nuances. I want the gait in his walk. I got to know those things that it got to become instinct. I don't have to think about it because it is an acting job, and then I have this other job that I got to hit the ground or do something dangerous. And they're all different. Some are harder than others, but once you get into that mode and you get into the head of that person that you're going to be the double for, you just do it. And because I don't think you should have to think about it, because it's probably like delivering dialogue as an actor. It's not memorizing the lines. It's knowing the lines. It's not, you're not repeating it by memory. It's knowing it. So, they're all different. Jim Carrey was great because once I put on that one-piece silk unitard, one-piece silk unitard. It was just that and a dance belt. If anybody knows what that is, that's uncomfortable. It's just wrong for me. You know where that thing goes. So, but once you put that on and you're looking at Jim, I mean, you couldn't help but just move like him. So you could just get into that slinky movement that he has. Others are gosh, it's fun watching them. I did a TV series. I doubled the character's name was Monroe on Grimm, and I doubled him as an actor, and I doubled him when he turned into this blue bot, this creature, Grimm. Well, he had a bad hip, and so the production would call me up and fly me up to Portland just to run from point A to point B because they didn't want him to run. And it was really simple for me to just run, but I had to run like him, so I had studied his gait, and I had people, think I was him when I was running, and it was a compliment. But I like that. I mean, it's fun to learn different characters. I'm going to leave it at that.
Especially their gait.
Their gait, their mannerisms. I would try to talk like him, even though you wouldn't. I don't have lines, but when I was doubling Clint Eastwood, go ahead and make my day. I'd say those things to myself, but I had an opportunity to be Clint Eastwood stunt double in the movie The Mule. Yeah, The Mule. And I did very little. I drove a pickup truck, and I got shoved up against the side of a van. So just minor stuff, very little. But the film meant so much because that's Clint Eastwood, somebody I grew up with, which is this Western star, and he's a great director and actor, director, producer, and he's an iconic filmmaker, and he's still around. He's the last of that generation. So when I got that job, it just meant so much, even though I did so little. But when I was a stunt double, I'm like, I'm doing very little, but I want to be the best possible person here.
It's a great movie, too.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
movie.
thanks.
Anybody else have one last question? Yeah, go ahead, Christian.
Do you think stunt work has changed over the years? As you being a stunt person, an actor, do you think it's changed over the years? Do you think it's starting out now than it did back in the 80s or back in the 70s, 60s?
That's a good question. Has stunts changed? Yes, absolutely. Because I look back before I was really into it, the Westerns, those guys were hitting the ground so hard, falling off horses and doing some really remarkable stuff. And then we started getting a little bit more safety conscious, and it has changed. It's evolved according to technology, filmmaking styles, and so forth. I'm fortunate I grew up with the hard-hitting guys. I mean, if you're not hitting selling out and hitting the ground as hard as you can, if you're not bouncing when you hit the ground, you're not hitting it hard enough. It's like, it's a mentality of just, you better be tough. And the new generation now is, well, let's see how many pads we can put on so we don't get hurt. Not everybody's that way, but what has changed is the technology of digital. So we can remove wires. So early in my career, you couldn't remove wires. It was a very expensive process to remove wires, so we did very little wire work. Now you can put wires, you can put somebody in a harness, put them on wires, and you can drop them and just take the curse off before they hit the ground. You can drop them, 50 feet and have them hit the ground because the wires are there. But CGI is made it where you can, and motion capture, mocap, you can fake a lot more now, and you don't have to do as much practical stunts, which is sad because when I got into stunts, put me in the hard stuff. Let me do that big car crash. Don't give me the easy stuff. I want the, we'll take that. But a lot of those big physical, practical stunts are now a little bit phased out. So, yeah, it definitely changed, and who knows what the future is going to be? Because with AI, that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, that's how I've experienced it. Yeah. Mm.
My second question is, what did you learn from Eastwood?
Oh, what did I learn from Eastwood? And that's a great question because so much. it's like with Wes Craven. Wes Craven's like the Alfred Hitchcock, these these visionary geniuses of filmmaking. Clint Eastwood, what I learned from him is his years and years of wisdom of filmmaking. The first film I did with him, I was Tom Hanks' stunt double in the movie called Sully. It's a movie about Captain Sullenberger landing a plane in the Hudson River. And I'm doubling Tom Hanks. We're starting production. I'm in New York. I'm on a ferry boat in the Hudson River, one of the original ferry boats doing rescues during the actual Sully thing. It's surreal. But it's Clint Eastwood, myself, and another stunt woman in a part of the ferry as we're going out. And Clint's kind of asking me questions, getting to know me because I'm dressed like Tom and he doesn't know me. And I'm explaining how I started with, doubling Tom on Forrest Gump, and I did this and this and this. And Clint goes, have you ever doubled me? And I was dumbfounded. I was so flattered by that, and I know he was joking because I know his stunt doubled. They're his age, they're in their 90s now. And I was like, oh, no, sir. And I was like, oh, after that conversation I left, I was like, oh, I should have told him the story how I got started in the business. In 1985, I was a gunfighter in a theme park as a gunfighter getting shot off a balcony 14 times a day. And everybody said that for those couple of years of doing live shows that I looked like Clint Eastwood because I was tall and slim and had a little scowl. So I modeled my character after Clint Eastwood. I'd pretend like I talk like him and, do that thing. And so cut to a couple weeks later, now we're shooting in L.A., we're in the Universal Studios, and I found the perfect time to share that story with Clint and about how I got started in business. And, he said, oh, I think that's pretty cool. Well, now cut to a couple years later, I get a phone call, and the stunt coordinator on the movie, Sully, calls me. The stunt coordinator on The Mule calls me up and goes, hey, I'm doing this movie called The Mule. I think you'd make a good stunt double for Clint Eastwood. And I said, well, Clint thinks I would, and I got the job. So that's a little behind the scenes there. But going back to the question, Clint's filmmaking, when we started filming Sully, I'm watching him. He's seldom doing more than 2 takes of each scene. Most scenes, 1 take. That's rare in the film business. Directors like different versions. Maybe the background people aren't perfect, and there's a lot of things going on in this cinematic picture that they're doing. And he's doing 1 and 2 takes, and I thought, oh no, this could be Clint's big failure. And so I asked somebody that's been working with him for a long time, I'm like, what's up? He goes, oh no, Clint only does 1 or 2 takes. He says, number 1, people come to work with Clint well prepared. Number 2, in Clint's eyes, it doesn't have to be perfect because life is not perfect. It was like, wow, that was the big takeaway from Clint Eastwood's filmmaking style. And his films are, have done well, but that was really something wise I heard from Clint Eastwood.
Well, man, your guys' contribution, nobody's perfect, but your contribution to the horror franchise and just film in general, I would say, is pretty freaking close. So I'm so happy that you came and spent the weekend with us and took time to talk to us in the panel room. Everybody, please give it up for Alan and Lynn. And if you want to spend more time with them, they'll be at their tables for the rest of the day, and go by and say hello. Come on by.
Please.
I'm liable to break it because that's what I do. Yeah.
Of course. I'm following you.
Hoorah.
Is this like the rose between the thorns? Okay.
Take a couple. And Strata behind you, we're gonna take a couple as well. Go ahead.
Wanting you to turn it on. He's a ghost, he's a god, he's a man, he's a guru. You're one microscopic cog in his catastrophic plan.